My parents said I was the backup daughter until my $100M deal hit the headlines. Have you ever heard your own parents call you the backup daughter right to your face? Not behind closed doors, not in hushed whispers, but at your sister's engagement party with 200 guests listening? That's exactly what happened to me 6 months ago at the Street Regis in San Francisco. My mother clinked her champagne glass and announced to everyone that they were so proud of their daughter Sarah, and lucky they had a backup in case the first one didn't work out. The room laughed, Sarah beamed, and I stood there holding a tray of appetizers. I'd been asked to help pass around because the caterers were overwhelmed. What they didn't know was that the backup daughter had just closed a deal worth more than their entire net worth combined. Hello everyone, I'm Emma Chen, 29 years old, and this is the story of how I went from being my family's plan B to owning the company that bought their house, their cars, and eventually their dignity. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Growing up as the Chen family's second daughter meant living in a shadow so large, I sometimes forgot what sunlight felt like. Sarah was everything our parents wanted in a child. Pre-med at Stanford, engaged to a surgeon, president of every club that would have her. She had the kind of resume that Asian parents print out and carry in their wallets. Meanwhile, I dropped out of UC Berkeley after 2 years to start coding in my apartment. My mother literally held a funeral for my future. She wore black for a week and told the neighbors I was taking a gap year to find myself. The truth was simpler. I'd found myself already. I just wasn't who they wanted me to be. While Sarah memorized anatomy textbooks, I was teaching myself machine learning. While she networked at country clubs, I was debugging code at 3 a.m. While she collected acceptance letters to medical schools, I was collecting rejection emails from investors. 73 rejections to be exact. I counted them, kept them in a folder labeled Motivation. My father, Richard Chen, owned 3 dry cleaning stores in the Bay Area. He'd built them from nothing, arriving from Taiwan with $200 and a conviction that hard work could buy respectability. My mother, Linda, had been a pianist in Taipei, but in America, she taught piano lessons to kids who'd rather be playing video games. They'd sacrificed everything for their daughter's education. The problem was, they'd only planned for one kind of success. Emma doesn't apply herself. My mother would tell her friends at the Korean church we attended, despite being Taiwanese. She's smart enough but lazy. Thank God we have Sarah. The comparison was constant. Sarah's straight A's versus my B's. Sarah's medical school interviews versus my failed startup attempts. Sarah's surgeon fiancé Michael versus my non-existent dating life. They kept a scoreboard without realizing I'd stopped playing their game years ago. The breaking point came when I was 24. I just lost my 3rd startup, burned through my savings, and was living on instant ramen and determination. I called my father, not for money, just for encouragement. Maybe it's time to be realistic. He said, Sarah could probably get you a job at the hospital. Data entry or something? It's stable. Data entry. After teaching myself 5 programming languages, after building 3 products from scratch, after working 20-hour days for 2 years, data entry. I hung up and didn't call again for 6 months. During those 6 months, everything changed. I met Marcus Walsh at a hackathon I almost didn't attend because I couldn't afford the $20 entry fee. I snuck in through a side door and built a prototype that solved a problem everyone said was unsolvable: real-time language translation for medical consultations. Marcus saw me, and offered me something my family never had: belief. This could revolutionize healthcare, he said. How much do you need? I'd practiced my pitch 100 times, but sitting across from a venture capitalist worth 9 figures, I forgot every word. I don't know, I admitted. I've never gotten this far before. He laughed. Not at me, but with recognition. I'll give you $2 million for 20%, and I'll teach you what to do with it. That was the beginning of MedTranslate. While my parents were planning Sarah's wedding, I was hiring my first employees. While they were tasting cake samples, I was negotiating contracts with hospitals. While they were arguing about seating arrangements, I was closing deals that would change healthcare forever. But I didn't tell them. How could I? Every conversation was about Sarah's wedding, Sarah's residency, Sarah's perfect life. When they asked what I was doing, I said I was working in tech. They'd nod vaguely and change the subject. Tech meant nothing to them. It wasn't medicine. It wasn't law. It wasn't real. The wedding planning consumed 2 years of our family's life. Every Sunday, dinner became a strategy session. The venue, the flowers, the guest list that grew from 100 to 300 because my parents needed to invite every distant relative and business associate to witness their triumph. Sarah had made it. She was marrying a doctor. The Chen family had arrived. I watched it all from the periphery, the backup daughter who didn't even get a +1 to her sister's wedding. "You understand, don't you?" my mother had said. "We have to limit the guest list, and since you're not seeing anyone serious..." I understood perfectly. I understood that I could have been dating the CEO of Google, and it wouldn't have mattered unless he had MD after his name. 3 months before the wedding, MedTranslate hit exponential growth. We went from 5 hospitals to 50, from 50 to 200. Our revenue jumped from 6 figures to 7, then 8. Marcus called it a hockey stick moment when the graph suddenly shoots upward like a hockey stick's blade. I called it vindication. But I still didn't tell my family. I was waiting for the right moment. Or maybe I was just tired of not being heard. The engagement party was held at the Street Regis because Michael's family had connections. They'd rented the entire top floor, hired a string quartet, and flown in flowers from Ecuador. It was excessive in that specific way that says, "We have money and we want you to know it." I arrived late, straight from a board meeting where we just voted to expand internationally. I was wearing a simple black dress I'd bought 3 years ago at Target, carrying a purse I'd gotten from a thrift shop. Next to Sarah in her designer gown and my mother in her custom kipao, I looked exactly like what they thought I was. The unsuccessful daughter. The afterthought. The backup plan. "Emma, finally," my mother said when she saw me. "The caterers need help. Some of the servers didn't show up. Can you grab a tray?" She didn't wait for an answer, just pressed an apron into my hands and pointed toward the kitchen. I could have said no. I could have told her I'd just closed a 50 million Series B funding round that afternoon. I could have mentioned that TechCrunch was calling me the next unicorn founder. Instead, I tied the apron and picked up a tray of shrimp cocktail. For 2 hours, I served appetizers to my parents' friends, my sister's medical school classmates, and Michael's family, who looked through me like I was invisible. I heard conversations about surgical residencies and investment properties, about vacation homes and private schools for children not yet born. Normal, successful people talk. Then came the speeches. Michael's father went first, welcoming Sarah to their family with genuine warmth. Michael followed, calling Sarah his soulmate, his perfect match, his future. Sarah spoke about destiny and timing and how she'd always known she'd find someone who understood her ambition. Then, my mother took the microphone. "Richard and I are so proud tonight," she began, tears already forming. "Sarah has exceeded every dream we had for her. Yale undergraduate, Harvard Medical School, and now marrying into the prestigious Wong family." The room applauded. "We've been blessed with 2 daughters," she continued, and I felt everyone's eyes shift to me holding my tray of half-eaten appetizers. "Sarah, our star, and Emma, our..." She paused, searching for the word. "Our backup, you know, in case the first one didn't work out." The laughter was immediate and unanimous. The kind of laughter that says, "We all understand this dynamic, we all know which daughter matters." Sarah raised her glass in a mock toast to me. Michael's mother whispered something to the woman next to her, both of them glancing at me with pity. My father nodded approvingly, as if my mother had said something profound instead of cruel. I set down the tray carefully, untied the apron, and walked to the bathroom. Not to cry. I was past crying over their opinions. I went to make a phone call. "Marcus," I said when he answered. "Remember what we discussed about going public with the announcement? The Fortune exclusive?" He replied. "I thought you wanted to wait until after your sister's wedding. Change of plans. Send it out tonight." "Tonight?" "Emma, that's a major..." "Tonight, Marcus. And make sure they include the valuation." I hung up and looked at myself in the mirror. The backup daughter stared back, but she was smiling. They wanted to toast the wrong sister. Tomorrow they'd know exactly who they'd been laughing at. I returned to the party and resumed serving appetizers as if nothing had happened. My mother nodded approvingly, probably thinking I'd accepted my place. Sarah pulled me aside during dessert. "Don't take it personally," she said. "Mom doesn't mean to be harsh. She just wants you to be motivated to do better." "Better than what?" I asked. Sarah looked confused. Better than, whatever you're doing now. Right, I said. Whatever I'm doing now. The party ended at midnight. I helped clean up because that's what the backup daughter does. I stacked chairs, collected champagne flutes, and listened to my parents gush about how perfect everything had been. Michael's family is so accomplished, my mother said. His mother showed me their vacation home in Tahoe. Can you imagine? Sarah will have such a good life. My father pulled me aside as I was leaving. Your mother didn't mean anything by that comment, he said. She's just proud of Sarah. You understand, right? We love you both equally. Equally, I repeated. Of course. He patted my shoulder awkwardly. Maybe you could take some courses, improve yourself. It's never too late to go back to school. Sarah could help you study for the MCAT if you wanted to try medical school. I'll think about it, I said, knowing I had a meeting with Goldman Sachs at 9 a.m. about our IPO timeline. Good girl. And Emma, try to dress better for the wedding. Maybe ask Sarah to take you shopping. You need to look presentable in the family photos. I smiled and nodded, the same way I'd been smiling and nodding my whole life. But this time I was counting down hours, not years. The Fortune article went live at 6 a.m. Pacific time. The headline read, 2 9-year-old college dropout builds $100 million medtech empire. The subtitle was even better. Emma Chen's Med Translate is revolutionizing healthcare communication while proving dropouts can win big. My phone started ringing at 6:03 a.m. First Marcus, confirming the article was trending. Then my head of PR, reporting interview requests from 60 outlets. Then my COO, saying our servers were crashing from traffic. I let every call go to voicemail. I was waiting for specific ones. The first family text came at 7:15 a.m. from my cousin Jennifer, who worked at Facebook. Holy shit, Emma, is this real? Then my uncle David, who ran a small tech consultancy. Why didn't you tell anyone? Then my Aunt Margaret, who'd always called me the lost cause. We need to talk about investment opportunities. But nothing from my parents. Nothing from Sarah. They didn't read Fortune. They didn't follow tech news. They lived in a bubble where success meant degrees from certain schools and marriages to certain people. MedTranslate could have been worth $1 billion, and it wouldn't have mattered if I couldn't put MD after my name. The Bloomberg pickup happened at noon, then the Wall Street Journal. By 3 p.m., it was on the front page of TechCrunch with additional details someone had leaked about our client list. Every major hospital system in California, expansion plans for New York and Texas, partnership negotiations with 3 insurance companies, revenue projections that made even seasoned investors take notice. The family group chat, which I'd been muted from for 2 years, suddenly added me back. Sarah added me. The message requests started flooding in. Relatives I hadn't heard from in decades. My parents' church friends. Sarah's medical school classmates who'd looked through me at every gathering. Finally, at 4 p.m., my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again, then again. On the 4th call, I answered, Emma, there's something wrong with the internet. She said, people keep sending us links about someone with your name. It's some kind of scam, right? Someone pretending to be you? What links, Mom? I asked innocently. Something about a company and money. Your father is very upset. You need to tell people this isn't you before it damages our reputation. Sarah's wedding is in 3 months. We can't have people thinking you're involved in some internet fraud. It's not fraud, Mom. So you know about this. You need to report it to the police. Identity theft is serious. It's not identity theft either. Silence. Then, what are you saying? I'm saying that the articles are about me, my company, MedTranslate. We just announced our Series B funding. The silence stretched so long I thought she'd hung up. Then, that's impossible. You work in tech support. You said you work in tech. I said I work in tech. You assumed support. But the article says $100 million. That's a mistake. They must mean 100,000. No, Mom, 100 million. Actually, 103 million to be exact. I heard muffled voices. My father taking the phone. Emma, stop playing games. This is serious. If you're involved in something illegal, it's not illegal, Dad. I built a company. We translate medical consultations in real time. We help doctors communicate with patients who don't speak English. We're in 200 hospitals. You dropped out of college, he said, as if that explained everything. So did Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg. You're not them. You're right. I'm me, and I built something that's saving lives. If this is real, my father said slowly, why didn't you tell us? When would I have told you? During the speeches about Sarah's perfection? While serving appetizers at her engagement party? When Mom called me the backup daughter? Another pause. We need to have a family meeting. Tonight? 6 o'clock. I have a board meeting at 6. Cancel it. No. Emma, we're your parents. Yes. I said, you are. And you've spent 29 years telling me I wasn't good enough. I'm not canceling my board meeting to hear more of the same. This is about family. Family? I laughed. Was it about family when you didn't invite me to Sarah's medical school graduation dinner because you could only afford 4 seats and Michael was more important? Was it about family when you hung up on me the night my second startup failed and I needed someone to talk to? Was it about family when Mom announced to 200 people that I was the backup plan? You're being dramatic. I'm being honest. Something this family has never been about my accomplishments. What accomplishments? You never told us anything. I tried, Dad. Remember when I called to tell you about my first patent? You said that's nice and asked if I could loan Sarah money for her MCAT prep course. Remember when I invited you to demo day for my first startup? You said you were busy and then posted pictures from a casino in Vegas. Remember when TechCrunch wrote about me for the first time? I sent you the link. You never opened it. He was quiet. Then, we'll see you at 6. I told you. He hung up. The board meeting was scheduled for 6, but I moved it to 5. Not to accommodate my parents, but to have witnesses for what I knew was coming. Marcus, my investors, my leadership team, 12 people who'd believed in me when my own family couldn't. We were discussing our international expansion when my phone lit up with texts. Sarah, what the hell, Emma? You made Mom cry. Mom, your father is having chest pains. This stress you're causing could kill him. Dad, we're at the house. You have explaining to do. Sarah again. This better not overshadow my wedding. I put the phone face down and continued the presentation. We approved the budget for London and Tokyo offices. We voted on 3 new board members. We discussed the IPO timeline that would likely value the company at $500 million within 18 months. Normal Tuesday stuff for the backup daughter. At 7:30, I drove to my parents' house in Cupertino, the same house where they'd held Sarah's acceptance parties and graduation celebrations, where they'd never once acknowledged my achievements, where my childhood bedroom had been converted to Sarah's study room the day I moved out. Every light was on. I could see shadows moving in the living room. The whole family was there. I sat in my Tesla Model S for a moment, the one I'd bought cash the day after our Series A closed. They didn't know I owned it. They didn't know I owned a lot of things. The backup daughter had been busy while they were focused on their star. The door opened before I could knock. Sarah stood there in her scrubs, fresh from a shift, looking exhausted and angry. How could you? She said. How could I what? Lie to us, pretend to be nobody, make us look stupid. I never lied. You never asked. You served appetizers at my engagement party. Mom asked me to. You let her. Yes, I said. I did. The same way I let her call me a disappointment for 10 years, the same way I let Dad tell me I'd never amount to anything, the same way I let you treat me like your personal ATM whenever you needed something. She stepped aside to let me in. The living room was full. Parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, all summoned for the emergency of Emma's success. They stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. My mother had been crying. Her eyes were red, tissues crumpled in her lap. My father sat rigid in his chair, jaw clenched. Uncle David had his laptop open, probably researching MedTranslate's valuation. Aunt Margaret was whispering to Cousin Jennifer. The air felt thick with accusation. Sit, my father commanded. I remained standing. Explain yourself. What would you like me to explain? This. He gestured at his phone, showing the Fortune article. Your secret life. It wasn't secret. It was ignored. There's a difference. You deliberately deceived us. I deliberately survived without you. When I needed support, you gave me criticism. When I needed encouragement, you gave me comparisons to Sarah. So I stopped sharing. I stopped expecting. I stopped needing you to validate me. We're your family, my mother said quietly. You should have told us. I tried, Mom. Do you remember when I won the Berkeley Innovation Competition? You said that's nice, dear, and went back to planning Sarah's white coat ceremony. Do you remember when I got my first investment? You were too busy to listen because Sarah had gotten into Harvard. Every achievement I had was background noise to Sarah's symphony. That's not fair, Sarah interjected. We celebrated your things too. Name one. She opened her mouth, then closed it. My high school graduation? You mean the one where Mom spent the entire dinner talking about your pre-med acceptance? The one where Dad gave his toast to you, not me? That celebration? You're twisting things, my father said. We treated you both equally. Equally? You gave Sarah a new car for getting into medical school? You gave me a self-help book about finding direction. You paid for Sarah's MCAT prep, her med school applications, her interview travel. When I asked for $1,000 to incorporate my first company, you said I should get a real job first. That was different. Sarah's path was clear. Yours was risky. All paths are risky, Dad. Sarah could fail her boards. She could get sued for malpractice. She could burn out in 5 years. But you bet everything on her because her risk came with a degree you understood. Don't attack your sister, my mother said sharply. She's achieved incredible things. I'm not attacking Sarah. I'm attacking the narrative that she's the only one who achieved anything. My company employs 300 people. We've helped over 1 million patients communicate with their doctors. We've saved lives, Mom. Real lives. But that doesn't matter because I don't have a white coat. Uncle David cleared his throat. The valuation, is it really 100 million? I turned to him. 103 million post-money. Our revenue run rate is about 40 million annually. We're profitable in 3 markets, with expansion plans for 12 more. Our IP portfolio includes 15 patents with 20 more pending. We have contracts with 60% of California's hospitals and preliminary agreements with the NHS in the UK. So yes, Uncle David, the valuation is real. Why healthcare? Aunt Margaret asked. If you wanted to rebel, why build something in medicine? I didn't build it to rebel. I built it because I saw a problem. Doctors struggling to communicate with immigrant patients. Patients dying from misunderstandings. Children translating their parents' cancer diagnoses. I built it because it needed to exist, not to prove something to anyone. You could have partnered with Sarah, my mother suggested. She could have guided you. Sarah laughed bitterly. Mom, I couldn't guide her. I don't understand half of what her company does. The technology is so far beyond what we use in hospitals. She's not playing in medicine, she's transforming it. It was the first time Sarah had ever acknowledged my competence. The room went quiet. The engagement party, my father said finally. You let us humiliate you. You humiliated yourselves. I just held up a mirror by existing. The backup daughter comment, my mother whispered. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant it. You've always seen me as the spare tire, the insurance policy, the plan B. And honestly, I'm grateful. Being the backup meant I had no expectations to meet except my own. I could fail without destroying anyone's dreams but mine. What do you want from us? My father asked. Nothing. Nothing? Nothing. I don't want apologies you don't mean. I don't want recognition that comes too late. I don't want to be suddenly celebrated because a number in my bank account validates my existence to you. You're our daughter, my mother said through tears. We love you. You love the idea of me now that I'm worth something. You love that you can tell your church friends about your successful daughter. Both daughters now, what a blessing. But you don't love me. You don't even know me. That's cruel, Sarah said. Is it? Mom, what's my favorite color? Silence. Dad, what programming language did I learn first? Nothing. Sarah, what's my company actually called? She looked away. It's MedTranslate, I said. My favorite color is green. I learned Python first. These aren't hard questions. These are things you'd know if you'd ever seen me as more than the backup plan. So what now? Uncle David asked. You're rich. We're properly shamed. What's your next move? My next move is to live my life exactly as I have been. Building my company, helping people, existing without needing your validation. The only difference is now, you know the backup daughter you laughed at is worth more than all of you combined. The wedding, Sarah said suddenly. You're still coming, right? I looked at her, really looked at her. The golden child who'd never had to fight for attention, who'd never doubted her place, who'd never served appetizers at her own celebration. I don't know. You have to come. You're my sister. I've always been your sister. That never stopped you from treating me like the help. I didn't mean you did. Every time you let mom and dad diminish me. Every time you accepted their praise while I stood in your shadow. Every time you took credit for my achievements. I never took credit for anything of yours. Really? The volunteer management system that got you into Harvard? I built that. The diagnostic app you presented at your residency interview? I coded that. The patient scheduling optimization that your hospital implemented? My algorithm. You took them all, presented them as your initiatives, and never once acknowledged where they came from. Sarah's face went white. The family turned to stare at her. How long have you been using Emma's work? My father asked her. I didn't. She offered to help. I offered because I loved you, I said. Despite everything, I wanted you to succeed. But you couldn't even thank me. You couldn't even tell them it was mine. The room felt smaller suddenly, like all the air had been sucked out. Truth does that sometimes, makes spaces contract around the weight of what's been hidden. There's more, I said, pulling out my phone. Since we're being honest. I opened an email and turned the screen toward them. This is an offer letter from last month. Piedmont Healthcare Systems wants to buy the building Dad's dry cleaning operates from. They're offering 3 times market value because it's perfect for their new clinic. My father grabbed the phone. This is addressed to you. Yes. I bought the building 2 years ago when your landlord was foreclosing. You've been paying rent to my LLC this whole time. You're our landlord? Your silent partner, actually. I also own 30% of the business. I bought out Mr. Kim's share when he retired. I've been funding your expansions, updating your equipment, covering the months you couldn't make payroll. Why? My mother asked, bewildered. Because despite everything, I didn't want you to fail. The same reason I paid off Sarah's student loans through anonymous donations to her medical school. The same reason I've been covering Mom's piano studio rent for 3 years. The same reason I hired Dad's cousin at my company, even though he wasn't qualified. You've been supporting us? Sarah asked. While we called you a failure? The irony isn't lost on me either. The house, my father said suddenly. The mortgage we paid off last year. The bank said there was an error in our favor. Not an error. A gift from your backup daughter who couldn't possibly amount to anything. My mother stood up, shaking. We're monsters. We're absolute monsters. No, I said, your parents who had a specific vision of success and couldn't see beyond it. You're not monsters. You're just limited. Don't defend us, she said. Not after what we've done. I'm not defending you. I'm freeing myself from needing you to be different. You are who you are. I am who I am. The tragedy isn't that you didn't see my success. It's that you didn't see my struggle. Every rejection, every failure, every 16-hour day, I went through it alone because being your daughter meant being Sarah's sister first, and Emma never. How do we fix this? My father asked. You don't. Some things don't get fixed. They just get accepted. You accept that you failed one daughter while celebrating another. I accept that I'll never be enough for you regardless of what I achieve. We all accept that this family is built on a hierarchy that can't be dismantled just because the order has changed. So you're just walking away? Sarah asked. I'm walking forward. There's a difference. I'll still own your building, Dad. I'll still pay your rent, Mom. I'll still send gifts for birthdays and holidays. But I won't pretend we're something we're not. I won't play happy family when we haven't been happy together since I was 12. The wedding? Sarah said again, tears starting. Please. I know I don't deserve it, but please come. I'll come, I said. But not as the backup daughter. Not as the one who serves appetizers, not as the afterthought in the family photos. I'll come as Emma Chen, CEO of MedTranslate, whether you introduce me that way or not. We'll introduce you however you want, my mother said desperately. That's the point, Mom. It shouldn't matter how you introduce me. I should just be your daughter, period. Not your successful daughter now that I have money. Not your backup daughter when I didn't. Just your daughter. But we both know that's impossible. In this family, you are your achievements. And for 29 years, you decided I had none. I stood up to leave. The family watched silently, Some crying, some stunned, all finally seeing the damage they'd participated in. Emma, my father called as I reached the door. Your mother's birthday is next month. I know, I've never missed one. Will you come? Have I ever not come? But will you really come? Not just show up? I turned back to look at them. My family, my burden, my origin story. I've always really come, Dad. You just never really saw me. I left them there in their living room, surrounded by photos of Sarah's achievements, trophies of her success, evidence of their golden child's ascent. There were no pictures of me after age 12. I'd counted once. 37 photos of Sarah. 3 of me. And in all 3, I was partially cropped out, caught in the frame by accident while the camera focused on the one who mattered. The next morning, my phone had 200 missed calls. Not from family, from reporters. Someone had leaked that the backup daughter comment had come from my own mother. The story was viral. Tech CEO's parents called her backup daughter before $100M success was trending on Twitter. Reddit had a thread with 10,000 comments about toxic families. Someone had started a hashtag, #NoMoreBackupDaughters. Sarah called while I was in my office reviewing contracts. I almost didn't answer, but something in me still hoped she understood. Emma, the media is destroying Mom and Dad. They're reporting what happened. Can't you make them stop? I didn't start it, and I won't stop it. They made their choice in front of 200 witnesses. Now they live with it. This could ruin my wedding. Your wedding will be fine, Sarah. It's Mom and Dad's egos that are bruised. Michael's family is reconsidering the marriage. Because of my success? Because of our family's dysfunction. His mother says we're not the people she thought we were. We're not. We never were. We just hid it better before. You did this on purpose. The timing, the announcement, everything. I announced my funding round. Mom called me a backup daughter. The timing was hers, not mine. You could have warned us. When? During the 10 years you forgot I existed? Or during the 5 minutes at family dinners when I was allowed to speak? I'm sorry, Emma. I'm really sorry. I know, but sorry doesn't erase 29 years. Sorry doesn't rebuild a relationship that never existed. Sorry doesn't make me forget serving appetizers while you toasted my irrelevance. What do you want me to do? Live your life, Sarah. Be the doctor you trained to be. Marry Michael if he'll still have you. Have the beautiful babies and the perfect house and the life Mom and Dad dreamed for you. I don't begrudge you any of it. I just won't pretend to be less, so you can feel like more. You were never less. No, but I was treated like less, and that's the difference between us. You got to be enough just by existing. I had to build a $100 million company to get a seat at my own family's table, and even now, that seat comes with conditions. She was quiet for a long time. Then, the diagnostic app that got me into Harvard. I knew you built it. I know you knew. I should have told them. Yes, you should have, but you didn't, because being the golden child meant never sharing the spotlight. And I let you because being the backup meant expecting nothing. I love you, Emma. I know, but sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes patterns are stronger than feelings. Sometimes the roles we're assigned become prisons we can't escape. So, what do? We be sisters the only way we know how. Incompletely, imperfectly, with all the scar tissue between us. Or we be strangers who share DNA. I'm fine with either. I'm not. Then do the work, Sarah. Not the performance of repair for Mom and Dad's sake. The actual work. Learn who I am beyond the backup daughter. See what I built beyond the headlines. Understand why I had to become someone outside this family to become anyone at all. Will you teach me? Teach you what? How to see you. Really see you. I looked out my office window at the Bay Area sprawled below. Somewhere down there, my parents were dealing with the aftermath of their choices. Somewhere, reporters were digging for more dirt. Somewhere, my company was translating a conversation that would save someone's life. And here was Sarah, finally asking the right question. I can try, I said. But Sarah, seeing me means admitting you didn't before. It means acknowledging that your success was built partially on my silence. It means recognizing that being the favorite came at my expense. Are you ready for that? I don't know. That's the first honest thing you've said to me in years. We hung up without goodbye. There was too much to say and nothing left to say. The paradox of family, The weight of history. The impossibility of starting over when the foundation is cracked. 2 weeks passed. The media storm died down. The wedding planning continued. My company kept growing. Life moved forward the way it always does, indifferent to our personal dramas. Then my mother showed up at my office. No appointment, no warning, just standing in my lobby holding a box of photos. My assistant looked panicked. She says she's your mother, but I know you don't have family on your calendar. It's fine, David. Send her in. She entered my office like she was entering a foreign country. Looking at everything, the floor-to-ceiling windows, the awards on the walls, the team visible through glass partitions, all young, brilliant people who called me CEO, not backup daughter. It's beautiful, she said quietly. Your office, your company. It's all beautiful. Thank you. She sat down carefully, placing the box on my desk. I found these in the garage, photos of you I thought we didn't have. I opened the box. Hundreds of pictures. Me at science fairs, coding competitions, hackathons. Me accepting awards, building projects, teaching other kids programming, all taken by my parents. All hidden away. You were there, I said, stunned. You saw it all. We saw it, she admitted. We just didn't understand it. Every competition you won, we were there. Every presentation you gave, we watched. But it wasn't medicine or law or business, it was computers. And in our minds, computers meant typing. We couldn't see that you were building the future. So, you hid the photos? We didn't hide them, we just didn't know how to display them. How do you explain to your friends that your daughter won something called a hackathon? How do you brag about code when everyone else is bragging about medical school? We were cowards, Emma. We chose the easy story over the true one. The easy story was Sarah. Yes. Sarah was simple. Straight A's to pre-med, to medical school, to doctor. Everyone understood that path. Your path was invisible to us. We couldn't follow it, so we pretended it didn't exist. And me? Was I invisible too? No, baby. You were terrifying. Every time you showed us something you built, we saw how little we understood. Every time you tried to explain your work, we felt stupid. Sarah made us feel successful. You made us feel obsolete. So we diminished you to feel bigger. We called you back up to convince ourselves you were. Do you know how much that hurt? I know now. The whole world knows now. My church friends won't talk to me. The aunts whisper about what kind of mother calls her child backup. Your father's customers ask if he's the one who didn't believe in his daughter. We're famous for being failures. You're not failures. You're human. Flawed, limited, human. You defend us even now. I don't defend you. I understand you. There's a difference. Understanding doesn't mean forgiveness. It just means clarity. She pulled out one photo from the box. Me at age 12, the last photo displayed in their house. This was when we lost you, wasn't it? When you won that programming competition and we didn't come to the ceremony. You told me Sarah had a recital. Sarah's recital was optional. Your ceremony was once in a lifetime. We chose wrong. You chose the child you understood over the one you didn't. Yes. That's all I ever wanted, Mom. Not the apologies or the recognition now, just the admission that you chose. That it wasn't about me not being enough. It was about you not being able to see what enough looked like when it came in a different package. Can I ask you something? She said. Why did you still help us? The rent, the loans, the mortgage. Why? Because love and disappointment can coexist. Because being hurt doesn't mean becoming cruel. Because I could separate my success from your approval. The money I spent on you was nothing compared to what I spent on therapy to get over you. She flinched but didn't argue. Your father wants to come to your next board meeting. No, he wants to understand. Then he can read our public filings like any other investor. Emma, please. Mom, Dad wouldn't understand a board meeting. We discuss algorithms and market penetration and technical architecture. We debate regulatory compliance and international tax structures. It would be like asking me to perform surgery. I'd be lost. He'd be lost. And then he'd find a way to make his confusion my failing. You really think so little of us. I think accurately of you. You're good people who had limited imagination. You're loving parents who loved conditionally. You're successful in your own right, but unable to recognize success in other forms. I don't think little of you. I think clearly of you. The wedding is in 6 weeks. I know. Sarah wants you as her maid of honor. I laughed. The backup daughter as maid of honor. The irony is perfect. She's trying, Emma. I know she is. But trying now doesn't erase not trying then. I'll come to the wedding. I'll stand where she wants me to stand. I'll smile for the photos. But I won't pretend we're the sisters we could have been if you hadn't made us competitors for your approval. You never meant to, but you did. Every comparison was a competition. Every praise for her was a dismissal of me. Every time you chose her events over mine, you told us both who mattered more. She won a game I didn't know we were playing, and I lost a family I didn't know was conditional. How do we fix this? I told Dad already. You don't. You just live with it. You accept that you created a dynamic that can't be undone. You move forward knowing that your relationship with me will always have an asterisk. Successful now, but only after she succeeded without us. That's so cold. It's honest. Would you prefer I lie? Should I pretend that your sudden interest in my life isn't directly proportional to my net worth? Should I act like the engagement party didn't happen? Should I serve appetizers at Sarah's wedding and smile while you toast the wrong daughter again? We won't make that mistake again. No, you'll make new ones. You'll introduce me as your successful daughter, emphasizing successful like it's a recent development. You'll brag about my company to people who don't care. You'll claim credit for my drive, saying we always pushed her to be her best. You'll rewrite history to make yourselves the parents of 2 accomplished daughters instead of parents who only saw one. She was crying now, silent tears that didn't ask for comfort. We really lost you, didn't we? Not when you moved out or when you dropped out of school. We lost you every time we chose not to see you. You lost the daughter you could have had, but you kept the one you wanted, Sarah. And now you have the one you never expected, the $100 million backup plan who succeeded despite you, not because of you. Will you ever forgive us? I forgave you the day I realized I didn't need you to see me to be seen. The day my company hit its first million in revenue. The day Marcus told me I was brilliant. The day my employees thanked me for creating something meaningful. I forgave you by succeeding without you. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean trusting. It doesn't mean pretending we're a family that values each other equally. So, what are we? We're relatives who share DNA and history but not values or vision. We're people who gather for holidays and milestones but don't call during crises or celebrations. We're the kind of family that looks perfect in photos but can't have honest conversations. We're exactly what we've always been. The only difference is now I'm not trying to change it. My mother stood up, picking up the box of photos. Keep them, she said. They're yours. They've always been yours. We just didn't have the courage to claim them. I don't need them, Mom. I have my own photos now. Pictures with people who saw me from the beginning. Those are the ones I display. She left the box anyway and walked out of my office. Through the glass, I watched her wait for the elevator, looking small and uncertain in a building built by the daughter she never understood. The backup who'd become the main event while no one was watching. 3 days later, Sarah called with wedding drama. Michael's mother had officially expressed concerns about our family dynamics. The tech media coverage had reached their social circles. Questions were being asked about what kind of people treat their daughter as a backup plan. The wedding might be postponed or canceled. Can you fix this? Sarah asked desperately. How would I fix your future mother-in-law's concerns about our family? Talk to her. Explain that it's not as bad as it seems. But it is as bad as it seems. Worse, actually. The media only knows about the engagement party. They don't know about the years of being erased, ignored, dismissed. If anything, the coverage has been generous. Please, Emma, I've never asked you for anything. I laughed so hard I had to put the phone down. When I could breathe again, I said, Sarah, you've asked me for everything. Every diagnostic app, every algorithm, every system that got you ahead. You just never acknowledged it was asking because you thought you were entitled to my help. That's not fair. Let me list what you've asked for in the last 5 years. The volunteer scheduling system for your med school application. The patient tracking app for your residency. The research automation tool for your publications. Okay, I've asked for things, but never anything this important. Your wedding is not more important than my dignity. It's my wedding, Emma. the most important day of my life. And my engagement party was supposed to be a celebration of your happiness, but it became my public humiliation. I won't fix what Mom broke. I won't smooth over what's rightfully rough. If Michael's family has concerns, they should. We are concerning. You're really going to let my wedding fall apart? I'm going to let you experience consequences for the first time in your life. If Michael loves you, he'll marry you regardless of our family dysfunction. If his mother's approval matters more than your relationship, then you have bigger problems than my reputation. I defended you, Sarah said desperately. When Mom made that comment, I should have defended you, and I didn't. I'm sorry. You're sorry now because you need something. Where was that sorry last week? Last month? Last decade? I've always been sorry. No, you've always been comfortable. There's a difference. You were comfortable being the favorite. Comfortable taking my work. Comfortable letting me be diminished so you could shine brighter. The sorry only came when the comfort ended. What do you want from me, Emma? Nothing. That's what you don't understand. I want absolutely nothing from you. Not your apology, not your recognition, not your invitation to be maid of honor. I built my life without needing anything from this family. That's my superpower. I don't need you. Everyone needs family. No, everyone needs love, support, and belonging. Family is just one place to find it, and not always the best place. I found my people in conference rooms and coding boot camps, in investors who believed in my vision, and employees who trusted my leadership. They're my family. You're my relatives. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. The saddest thing I ever heard was Mom calling me the backup daughter while 200 people laughed. But we all have our different breaking points. The wedding happened on schedule. Michael's family's concerns were overruled by the deposits already paid and the invitations already sent. But the guest list shrunk from 300 to 150. The venue changed from the Street Regis to a smaller location in Palo Alto. The narrative shifted from society wedding to intimate family affair. I attended as a regular guest, not the maid of honor. That role went to Sarah's medical school roommate, someone who hadn't watched her take credit for my work. I wore a simple navy dress and sat in the third row, behind cousins and family friends, but ahead of the backup guests. The placement was perfect. Not family, not stranger, just relative. During the father-daughter dance, I watched my father beam at Sarah the way he never beamed at me. During the speeches, I listened to my mother call Sarah her greatest accomplishment. During the cake cutting, I heard Michael promise Sarah she'd never be second to anyone, and I wondered if she heard the irony. But the moment that defined everything came during Sarah's speech. She thanked everyone, her parents for their support, Michael for his love, her friends for their loyalty. Then she paused, looking directly at me. And to my sister Emma, who taught me that success comes in many forms, who built an empire while I was building a resume, who showed me that being first doesn't matter if you're running the wrong race. Emma, you were never the backup. You were the one who backed up everything you said with everything you did. And I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. The room applauded politely, uncomfortably. Some guests whispered, recognizing me from the news coverage. Others stared, trying to reconcile the backup daughter narrative with the CEO reality. I raised my champagne glass in acknowledgement but didn't smile. Apologies at weddings are still performances, and I was done being anyone's audience. After the reception, as guests mingled and danced, my father approached me at the bar. "Thank you for coming." I said I would. "Your mother saved you some cake." "I'm not punishing you, Dad. I'm just not prioritizing you. There's a difference between punishment and indifference. Punishment requires energy. Indifference requires nothing. And nothing is exactly what I have left to give this family emotionally. We made mistakes. You made choices. Mistakes are accidental. You deliberately chose Sarah over me every single time. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. And patterns are just priorities made visible. You're so cold now. I'm focused. I have 300 employees, 50,000 shareholders, and 1 million patients depending on my technology. I don't have time to be warm to people who left me out in the cold for 29 years. He walked away without another word. Sarah found me as I was leaving. Still in her wedding dress, makeup perfect, everything she'd ever dreamed of achieved. "Thank you for coming. Congratulations." I meant what I said in the speech. "I know. But you don't believe me." "I believe you meant it in the moment. But moments pass, Sarah, and when they do, we return to who we really are. You'll go back to being the golden child who made it. I'll go back to being the backup who exceeded expectations. Mom and Dad will rewrite history to make themselves look better. And we'll all pretend this wedding changed something, when really, it just confirmed everything. You really won't give us a chance. I gave you 29 years of chances. Every family dinner where I tried to share my accomplishments. Every birthday where I hoped you'd ask about my life. Every holiday where I waited for someone to see me. The chances ran out, Sarah. What you have now is my presence without my trust, my attendance without my attention, my DNA without my devotion. That's not family. No, but it's what we are. And accepting that might be the most honest thing this family has ever done. I left her standing in her wedding dress, surrounded by guests celebrating her perfect day, the golden child who got everything she wanted except the sister she'd never bothered to know. 6 months have passed since the wedding. MedTranslate went public last month at a $2 billion valuation. I rang the opening bell at the NYSE while my parents watched on television from their living room. They texted congratulations. I sent back a thumbs up emoji. Sarah had her first baby 3 weeks ago. A girl named Emma, she says, after her successful aunt. I sent an expensive gift and a card, but didn't visit. The baby will grow up hearing about Aunt Emma, the CEO, the millionaire, the one who made it big. But she won't know Aunt Emma, the person, the sister, the daughter who had to leave to become someone. My mother sends weekly emails now. Updates about their life, photos of family gatherings I don't attend, invitations to dinners I decline. She signs them, "Love, your proud mother." The proud is new, the mother is complicated, the love is theoretical. My father started his own podcast about raising successful daughters. The irony is so thick you could build a house on it. He talks about nurturing talent and supporting dreams. He mentions his 2 accomplished daughters frequently. He never mentions that one succeeded because of them and one succeeded despite them. The tech world knows me as a self-made success story. The medical world knows Sarah as a brilliant doctor from a supportive family. Both narratives are true and false simultaneously. We're all unreliable narrators of our own stories, choosing the details that make us heroes or victims depending on what we need to believe. But here's what I know for certain. I was the backup daughter until my $100 million deal hit the headlines. Then I became the successful daughter, the CEO daughter, the daughter who proved us wrong, but I was never just the daughter. And that's the difference between a family that loves you and a family that loves what you achieve. I still have the folder labeled Motivation with those 73 rejection emails. But now I also have a folder labeled Family with every dismissive text, every ignored achievement, every moment they chose Sarah over me. Not because I'm bitter, but because I'm honest. Success doesn't erase history, money doesn't buy back time, and being valued now doesn't undo being devalued then. The backup daughter is worth $2 billion today. But she was priceless all along. They just never bothered to look. And by the time they did, she'd already learned to see herself. If you've ever been the backup, the second choice, the one who had to prove their worth instead of having it assumed, this story is for you. We don't need their validation. We never did. We just needed to realize that being the backup means you're free to write your own story. And sometimes, that's the greatest gift a family can give you, even if they never meant to give it. Where are you watching from? Have you ever been the backup who became the main event? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, your worth was never determined by their ability to see it. Subscribe if this resonated with you, because every backup deserves to hear they were always enough.